Well, as you can see, distracted driving. Oh, it is seriously a dangerous activity. Worst of all, it is affecting our kids. More than 43,000 teen drivers were involved in police-recorded accidents, and that is just right here in Ohio.
That's Ohio alone.
Wow.
Here to talk more about some of the dangerous statistics, Kimberly Schwind, who's here from AAA, and Brock Dietrich, who's been directly affected by some of those distracted driving dangers. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Brock, unfortunately, it was a tragic story for your family. Introduce us to your daughter and tell us a little bit about what she was like. What was Sydnee like?
Yep, Sydnee was 17 years old. She attended Gahanna High School. She was a great kid, made lots of good decisions. She was the teen that all of her other friends really connected with, and people of all ages really connected with her, from babies to adults. I mean, she was the person that everybody would go to when they had a problem. She was the support for all of her friends, and so they really looked to her to give them good advice and what to do in life. And so she was a great kid.
And as you're finding that her good decisions maybe one day weren't good decisions.
That's correct.
Can you walk us through a little bit what happened?
Yeah, so it was back in October 2013. She was with her friends. They were just, it was Halloween time, so she was going to a pumpkin patch out Lynn's Fruit Farm. And you know, when they were coming back, they were driving down the highway on 161, and she lost control of the car, went into the median. And she had two passengers in the vehicle. Joe, who was the front seat passenger, said that she had her cell phone in her hands. And that's what caused her to lose control of the vehicle and went into the median. The car, when it went into the median, flipped over twice across the oncoming traffic. You know, luckily she didn't hit anybody else, but she was not wearing her seatbelt, and so she was thrown from the vehicle, and as a result suffered fatal head trauma.
Did you know her to be a texter before
No,
that? She wasn't?
no, she was a good driver, a responsible student. She had always wore her seatbelt. Vicki and Joe both reported that she had her seatbelt on earlier that day. She just must have forgot to put it on the last time they got in the car.
Wow.
But after this tragedy, now you've launched a whole effort to try to help other kids make better decisions by remembering her.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working with an organization called Impact Teen Drivers, and we go out into schools and talk to teens about making good decisions when you're in a vehicle. And it really comes down to make the decision before you get in the car. Make the decision that you're going to ensure that everybody is safely buckled up before you pull away and put your car in drive. Make the decision of what you're going to do with your cell phone before you get into that moment where you may tell yourself, I'm not going to answer my phone when it rings. But in that moment when it rings, you're going to react and pick it up. So you have to make the decision before you get in the vehicle of what you're going to do.
To just leave it alone.
Yep.
Statistically, let's talk, Kimberly, because these are not the statistics we ever want to hear, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Let's talk about what really is going on out there.
Right. You know, the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety recently did a study, just released it last week, and found that distracted driving is much more common with teens than originally thought.
Well, let's define distracted driving, because we're not really talking about just texting here. There are a gazillion things that we do in our cars that we really shouldn't be doing.
That's right, and actually the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety wanted to take a deeper look into distractions. And so they analyzed 1,700 clips of teens getting into crashes, and they analyzed the 6 seconds before the crash. And what they found was distracted driving was a factor in about 6 out of 10 crashes. That's 4 times more than originally thought. And the top 2 distractions were cell phones and passengers.
Okay.
So cell phones, a major factor, the texting while driving, and with the cell phones, teens didn't look at the road at all. They did not react. In about half of the crashes.
There's no recovery time.
There was no recovery time, and they were looking away from the road for about 4.1 out of the 6 seconds before the crash. So their eyes weren't even on the road. They weren't paying attention.
Well, considering how fast we tend to go, that's a long distance in 4 seconds.
Exactly.
But we're talking about eating behind the wheel, We're talking about, other folks in the car. What else is distracting us? You see people putting on makeup.
Yeah, but I think the predominant focus really is just where do we go from here? I mean,
Right.
we're at such a tragic state, and sadly, lives are lost. Where do we go from here now? Because this texting is so out of control. You see it. We're on the
every
roads.
day.
Everywhere I look, everybody's on their phones.
There's a few factors. First of all, we really need to make sure that we have strong graduated driver licensing laws. And so that's going to help eliminate these distractions, the passengers, the cell phones, even reducing nighttime driving, which is very dangerous for teens. All of those factors have to be factored into our GDL law to help eliminate these dangers while teens are still gaining experience.
Brock, what's been the reaction when you talk to teenagers and you tell them Sydnee's story?
Yeah. You get a mix. We go out to high schools and talk to full school assemblies. Some kids you connect with, some you don't. But when you connect with those teens, you see that they really understand the impact of those decisions that they're making. And we really talk to them about good decisions and what those decisions are. But it starts with the parents. It starts with the parents role modeling good behaviors. Yeah. I made mistakes in the role model that I set for Sydnee. And so I go out and talk to parents as well through parenting workshops about what you're going to do to help make sure your kids make good decisions when they're in the vehicle. Some of the stuff that we saw with the AAA study, they were using drive cam to really film this, and that's available to parents to be able to have those discussions with your teens and see what is happening in the vehicle when you're not riding with them.
Right.
Sydnee was always a good driver. We thought she was a fantastic driver, but when you watch those videos on the AAA study, I can imagine that's exactly what it looked like that night in Sydnee's car, where she just drifted right off the road, didn't even recognize what was happening until it was too late.
Yeah.
Even the folks in
so
the car.
sorry.
Thank you for sharing her story.
Absolutely.
And if people want to reach out, I know they can. They can reach out
Absolutely.
to you through what organization?
Impact Teen Drivers we work with. We also have a website, Remember Sydnee. People can contact me through there. We'd love to get out into any of the local schools and really have assemblies there. We have a lot of them planned for April here with prom coming up, but we'd love to get into any school we can.
Thank you so much.
Brock, thank you.
Thank
Kimberly,
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you certainly can learn more about the dangers of texting and driving.
All you have to do is go to gooddaycolumbus.com, click on news links at the bottom of the page. You'll learn more about Sydnee's story there and how you can prevent distracted driving.
Let's
we'll be
do
right
it.
back.
Wow.